And here we go.
We're a little late, but it's all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Pages from Rock Bottom. I'm Matt. This is my beautiful wife, Kim. Tonight, we are joined by Miss Ashley Hamilton.
Chase Love until it almost killed me is the name of your episode, Miss Lady.
Then I
Yes.
chose stability.
Yes. So tonight's trigger warning. We're going to talk about childhood neglect, substance use, loss of children, incarceration, mental health struggles, and suicidal thoughts. So be gentle with yourself. If you guys need to walk away for a few minutes, please do so. But just remember, like these stories are to help people, not hinder them.
Mm.
So, all right, Miss Ashley, tell us who you are and where you're from.
My name's Ashley Hamilton. I am from Athens, Ohio. My sobriety date is August 1st of 2025. So I'm almost 9 months sober.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah. It's been a blessing, that's for sure. Um, so my story starts when I was about 8 years old. I say my story starts at 8 because I don't really remember anything before age 8. I don't know whether it was good, bad. I don't know. I don't have any memories from before I was 8. I'm not sure if there was a traumatic experience that happened to cause that or not. I just know that my story starts from age 8. Um, I grew up, my parents were divorced. I didn't really know my dad at all. Um, and so I lived with my mom and we moved down to North Carolina. We originally lived up here in Meg. We moved down to North Carolina and it wasn't a very loving household. It was back in the 90s where you don't tell your business, you go to school, you don't talk to nobody, you don't have friends, you don't do any of that. So I was very isolated and not shown emotion or anything like that from a very young age. So going into adulthood, like emotions, what are those? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember, I remember the first time I ever had heartburn. I really thought it was a broken heart.
Oh,
It's so sad. Yeah. But yeah,
oh,
I
okay.
know.
Yeah. That
Yes.
would have been dramatic for me. I'd have been like, "Oh my god, what is really really happening?" So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I'm like 12 and I have a broken heart. But it was just heartburn. I found that out
Yeah.
later in life. But I mean, you live and you learn.
I mean,
Um,
hey, what until you get pregnant and then you have heartburn all the time.
for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
Damn,
I had most of my childhood that I can remember down in North Carolina. Um, I went to school. I had to walk to school and home from school because we lived like right less than a mile from the school, so we didn't have the transportation. So I had to walk, which turned out to be pretty bad when I got a little bit older because then I was like, oh, I'll sleep in. I'll get there around lunchtime. Nobody will notice. So
Yep.
my grades started failing and stuff like that. And my household was, like I said, I wasn't allowed to have any friends. I wasn't allowed to talk on the phone. Internet wasn't a thing back then. So, I didn't have social media or anything like that. So I was very isolated and didn't have to let my mom work night shifts. Like she always provided our needs, like a roof over our head, food in the cabinet, but she wasn't really present. Um,
Right.
so so that kind of like carried like a lot of abandonment issues for me growing up. And then when I turned 14, I got my first full-time job. Well, I wouldn't say full-time. I had two jobs, which equaled out to a full-time job. I worked at Kroger as a cashier, and I worked at Albert's Fun Factory, which is like Chuck E. Cheese, except it's in Howe. Um, so I done that now as I went to school,
Yeah.
both all that together. And then I got to my rebellious teenage years, and it was already a not loving household. So then, like all my anger and the only emotion that I knew it was anger. Me and my mom started fighting a lot, whatever, and it got physical. So
Mm.
one of my friend's parents actually rented an apartment in her name for me, and I paid all the bills there and everything. And because I wasn't completely failing at life at that point, My mom signed custody over to my dad, who lived here in Ohio. I had never really known the guy. Like, I knew his name. I knew he lived in Ohio. Other than that, I didn't have any kind of relationship with this man. The cops
Yeah.
come into my job and make me go with this man. And so that was traumatic enough. And then I get up here to Ohio. He's been remarried too since I was like 2 years old. So he'd been married for 12 years at that point, to a woman who never had any kids. And so and I don't know if she ever wanted kids or what, but now here I am. He's a truck driver. He's only home on the weekends. And so then he's trying to make up for all these lost years that he had with me, which made her really jealous. And she tried to drown me in a bathtub.
What?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah. And Meigs County, the wonderful county that it is, I ran over to the neighbor's house completely naked. And they called the cops, and my grandpa, he came and, was there too. I ended up going to boot camp for being a juvenile delinquent at that point, because by the time the cops got there, she had staged the house to where there was like spaghetti on the walls, broken plates, and like we had gotten to some altercation. And I was like, what in the world? So that relationship didn't last very long. I ended up moving in with my grandparents, which they were wonderful. They've helped me with my kids. But when I turned 18, I was gone. I had my own place, and I was 18. I was an adult. I know the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do what I want.
yeah. Yeah. And then I started working at a telemarketing place in Pomeroy when I was 16. It was a good paying job. It done me a lot of good for what it was worth at the time. But it also introduced me to a lot of not so good people. It's where the Pomeroy police station is now, which is ironic because they were there all the time when it was a telemarketing place, because most of the people there had warrants. So it was very a drug environment there. So that's really where I was introduced to drugs, was working there. I started with pills. I drank. We cashed our checks down at the bar on Main Street in Pomeroy. So, we had a free beer for cashing our checks there.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't even 21 at the time. So I'm in the bar, I'm drinking, I'm doing pills. I've got the wrong crowd of friends. I end up, starting to miss work and all that great stuff. Lost my apartment, or my house that I had. I had a trailer. Lost it. I still had my vehicle though. Still had somewhat of a job. And I ended up moving in with my friend, and she was in the same thing I was, all craziness or whatever. And because we had lived together for so long, our periods had sunk up, and
those are fun.
Then she noticed that I didn't have anything in the trash the last time she did, and then she asked me if I was pregnant. Like, no way, no, can't be. So we went and got a pregnancy test, and the first one came back positive, and I'm like, oh no, the box says it has to have first morning urine. We got to try this again in the morning. So we did it again in the morning. Of course, it said positive again.
Yeah.
And then so then I go to the health department, because I'm still not convinced, because these are faulty tests at this point.
Yeah.
And then probably one of the most embarrassing things is when I go to the health department, the lady that was the nurse there to give the test was also a Sunday school teacher that I had been to church on and off to. And so then I have to tell her that there's, I'm not married, there was no contraception, and now I'm pregnant. I don't know what I'm going to do. So that was all fun. Probably one of the most embarrassing things ever. I'm like, oh my God. But that did straighten up my life a little bit for a while. My daughter, she has saved my life more than once. I hope she's on here. Hi, Abby. I love you. She's my superhero for sure.
Hi, Abby, superhero.
Yes. That would probably be the first time she saved my life, is when she was born. I had a difficult pregnancy with her. She tried to come 7 times too early. Yeah. But I was also spoiled a little bit with her, because I had an ultrasound every week. because the entire time she was inside me, I never felt her move, ever. So we had an ultrasound every week just to make sure she was okay. And then when she was born, when the umbilical cord was still attached, she barely fit on my pelvis. Usually you can hold them like up to your chest with the umbilical cord still attached, but she barely fit on my pelvis. She had such a small umbilical cord.
Yeah.
But the doctor said it was a good thing that I smoked cigarettes because that helped develop her lungs faster. So she only stayed in the hospital with me the 2 days, like normal. So she was perfectly healthy from the day she was born. Awesome. And she was great. Like I said, she saved my life. I was still clean at that time. I stopped going to the bars. I got my own place because the girl I lived with, that environment was just a party environment.
Yeah.
And it was time for me to grow up, which I did for a little bit. My grandparents were also my babysitter for me, for her. So I still also got to do like a little bit of like my 20s or whatever, because they had a house down in North Carolina and a house up here. So whenever they went down there, they took her with her. So then I didn't have a child for the 2 weeks that they were gone. I mean, I did, but she was taken care of down there. So then that's what started my partying back up a little bit. And then I got my first DUI one time when she was gone. Tried to hide that from my grandparents for the longest time. And so then they kept a closer eye on me until I got pregnant again with my second one a couple years later. And again, then I straightened up. I didn't do anything while I was pregnant. And my oldest one, she wanted to be mommy and, everything. So it was really good. They got along really good when they were little. Once they got a little bit older, then my oldest one knew what she wasn't allowed to do, so she'd get the younger one to do it, just so she wouldn't get in trouble. It was great. But then me and my men, if you couldn't tell by the story, I've never consistently been with a man up until this point. I've gotten pregnant twice. I've had 2 kids, but I wasn't consistently with a man. So that was an issue. So then I wanted this whole fairy tale life, I want a man and a woman in the house with the kids, blah, 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 blah. I always said I would have been perfect back in the 50s, the Stepford wife type thing, but that's not a reality.
I don't think relationships back in the 50s were very perfect at all.
No, not at all. So then I went on and off, like my kids' dad. We went on and off for a little while. And then, that just completely dissipated. And I got with this one guy. He's no longer with us. I ended up being with him for like 10 years. And I hate to say, he was probably one of the longest relationships I've had, and probably the most toxic relationship I had. I found out later, I didn't find out at the time, or it would have never went on as long, that he abused my kids in certain ways too. So I've had to deal with that, which they were taken out of that situation by the grace of God. I can only give it that, because like I said, I didn't know at the time, and I want to say I would do for my kids, but honestly, I was chasing that man blindly. I have no idea, honestly, what I would have done, which is horrible. The first 4 years of our relationship were probably great. Like, we showed each other love. Everything was great. And then he got in some trouble with the law. And so we decided to run away. And we went down to North Carolina, where I originally was from, with my mom as a kid. And we stayed down there for about a year. And I got pregnant and had a baby. And she was about 8 weeks old, and she died from SIDS.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was very, very traumatic. Like the whole situation was, because I woke up and she was, she just looked like she was sleeping, and I'm trying to wake her up to feed her, and she's cold at this point, and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm calling everybody on 911, trying to do CPR at the same time. And then we finally get to the hospital. We were there for hours, and they pronounced her deceased. And then the cops came back to the house and made me reenact the entire morning with a baby doll. That is horrible. Like, nobody should ever have to do that. I understand now why they had to, but oh my God, that was horrible. At that point, I had completely lost my mind. And this is the point in the story. I've been with him for about 4 years now. This is a point where I probably overly fell in love with him, and he overly fell out of love with me at this point. Because I completely lost my mind, like you can imagine anybody would losing a child.
Absolutely.
And I started drinking excessively. I would picture ways to die to try to be with my daughter, even though I had 2 other kids. I thought about running my car into a semi because I didn't want to do it and be paralyzed or not get done right.
Yeah.
So I'm like that's just a sure. But then every time I was on the road, I couldn't do it because then I would think about, okay, what's the other person going to have to go through in their life for doing that.
Yeah.
So. But then I got really bad, drinking again and on drugs. And when we moved down to when we was down in North Carolina, I was trying to sell my vehicle from Ohio because it's really hard to transfer plates from out of state.
Yeah.
Just to buy one and get plated down there. Well, my job thing didn't go through and whatever, and we ended up stealing electricity from the place we were living at. We got caught doing it, so then we had to get the electric pole inspected before they would actually legally turn it on.
Yep.
So we're waiting for this electrician to come. Well, some guy ends up pulling down our driveway, and we assume it's the electrician. And dude is like high as hell. You could tell he is. Turns out he was there to buy my vehicle that I stopped trying to sell like 2 weeks prior to that. And, so then I'm just like, hey, he's high. I'm asking, hey, do you know where to get any drugs? Well, and at that time I was just on pills and drinking. And he's like, I don't know where to get any of that, but I've got something that'll help you. You won't worry about your electric tonight. Everything will be fine. And it was a line of meth. Didn't know it at the time. Yeah, we was up for like 27 hours. Dude came back like a week later, asked how everything was, blah, blah, blah. Then he ended up having us buy boxes of Sudafed for him. And he would give us drugs for it. Which was awesome at that time. I didn't know that was completely illegal. I was naive because I really didn't know anything about it. So then one day this other guy shows up at our house, and he was running from the cops, and like we lived in like a little secluded area. Well, he ended up being the cook, and he ended up showing the guy I was with how to make the stuff.
Oh yeah, then it was on. It was on.
Yeah. So then it was like all downhill from there. I was high on meth for God knows how long, cooking it and stuff. My kids were staying with my grandparents because I didn't have a stable really place for them at that point. Not physically, but even emotionally or anything like that. Like I don't know what kind of parent I could have been. And I blamed it on the death of my first child. But honestly, I was addicted to the drugs from that point on. Like you couldn't have told me no at that point. And then like then it started getting abusive after that with me and him. Because meth does something to your brain. It's definitely a chemical reaction. And during that period of my meth use, I didn't see it in myself. I thought I was still nice and loving, and I wasn't such an angry person then because I was still naively in love with this guy who was there for me when my world fell apart and he never left. So, like I said, like I overly fell in love with him at this point, but because I didn't give him time to grieve over it, that he fell out of love with me. So he had all those resentments, and then that turned into physical abuse. And again, I didn't leave. I still stayed because he was there for me. Why would I leave him when he's going through something? So that went on for like 6 years. I tried to leave a couple of times. I remember my grandpa coming up with it up to the house to give me some mail or something. And my daughter, she would be hiding in the back seat of the car with a blanket over her so I didn't see her because she didn't want me to, try to talk to her or, try to get her to stay with me or, she really didn't even want to see me. So, which is it's sad in its own. And like, and I asked my grandpa one time for just a ride to the bottom of the driveway. And he told me no. And I mean, I don't blame him now. I really don't. That time I had a big resentment for him because I'm like, it's the bottom of the driveway. You're going there anyway. But I was just trying to leave and it didn't happen. And then it was the time in Meg back in 2011, 12 area, where everybody started getting busted for cooking meth at that point. And so I told the guy I was with, I'm like, dude, we need to stop for a while. You know, things are getting heavy, you know. We had caught the strip mines on fire making the stuff, and like it was it was all bad.
Yeah.
And he thought BCI was following us, like he was, you know, getting perma-twacked at that point. And so he was like, "Oh, I got enough to make one more batch." And I'm like, "You know what? Just do it without me. You go do that. I'm go down here and get high." And that's what I did. I went to 3 houses down, and I was getting high with my friend. And then we're sitting there, and somebody goes by, and we're like, "What the fuck was that?" And before we could get stood up all the way, sheriff's office, and they threw me down on the ground and whatever. And they knew I was his girlfriend because we've been together for so long. They arrested me, and they're like, "Absolutely no, it's all his shit. Just tell us it's his. We'll let you go." And I'm like, "Well, you know it's his shit. You don't need me to tell you that. Like, you know I don't." And so I ended up going to prison for that because he didn't fess up to it. And so I went to jail I was in county jail for 271 days. And then I went to prison for 18 months after that.
Boy, so they kept you in county that long?
Yeah, I was in county.
Yeah, in Middleport City Jail at that. Yeah, and it's 24-hour lockdown there.
Oh.
Yeah.
You just come out and take a shower though, right?
No, it was all one big room. We had one side was a shower stall, one side was the bathroom stall, and then we had a big open area with bunks and a table.
Dorm. Gotcha.
Yep, and they held they had eight bunk beds, but we probably held about 12 people at the time in that room. Just a small jail, but it was 24-hour lockdown. You never got out of there. So 271 days in there is a pretty long time, but
yeah.
I ended up, calling it home for after a while because I didn't have anywhere to go. I'm fighting the case that, I'm not going to win. And then I ended up going to prison for 18 months. I wish I could say that's the part that saved my life and that's where my story ended, but it's not. It did help me get away from the abusive relationship and all of that, because when I came home, even though it was all his stuff and I ended up doing the time and the charges, whatever, he looked at me straight in my face 2 days after I got out. "I don't want to go back to having nothing." Bitch, I just got out of prison. I literally have nothing. Yeah. What do you mean because of you? But anyways, yeah. So that relationship ended. Like, we talked a couple of times again after that, but we never got back together. I was clean for about 4 years after I got out of prison. I wasn't working a program of recovery, anything. I was dry. It was just, I was trying, but I was extremely depressed. I loved my kids. I started having them back at my house. My oldest daughter lived with me again, but then she was coming up to her teenage years. And she has all this resentment and anger towards me because I haven't been there and because I chose drugs. And because of the situation that happened with the guy that I was with that I didn't know at that time. So she had all these angers and then I didn't know. And I'm trying to, be a mom to her and it's not working out. And she's got all these hormones going. So things end up getting physical with me and her like they did with my mom and me. So my grandpa, he's godsend, my grandma too. That's their baby. That's their favorite. Always has been, always will be. And they really took care of her for me. I don't know what I would have done without them for sure. So she didn't go into the system or anything like that. My youngest daughter, the hardest phone call I ever had to make was to her dad when I got in trouble, to tell him that I fucked up. I'm going to jail. I'm going to prison. Please come get our daughter so she don't go in the system. And he did. He came and got her and he raised her until she was probably about 17. Me and her don't currently talk. She still holds a lot of resentment and anger for me. She says it's not that I made mistakes, it's that I made too many. And the only thing I can tell you is I'm going to continue to make mistakes. So she's on her own journey right now. I pray for her every day. Hope she's doing well. But she chooses not to talk to me right now or have me be part of her life, which, I have to accept that.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah. So then, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, then I got with this other guy. And you'll see a pattern after this, of guy after guy after guy, because my kids weren't in my household all that much. I tried, and then it just got so bad between me and my daughter. Like the law got involved a couple of times, but still I tried to be there. And then I got with this one guy who was just getting out of prison. He was in a halfway house. That's where I met him. And so, that's already a perfect, red flag, red flag, red flag. But to me, it was, oh, I'm in love. It's that everything's going to be great.
Don't want to be alone, right?
Yes.
Exactly. And I was just looking for that love and attention, something, because I'm so depressed at this point, because like I'm trying and nothing's working, and I don't know what to do. And when I did have my kids, they hated me so much, then I felt like they were a burden sometimes, because I still couldn't live my life, which is horrible to say, because nobody should feel that way about their kids. But I mean, they know I love them now, or at least I hope they do. But like, and then like this guy, he was like so super crazy. Like it was good to start with, and then he started getting on drugs, and I'm like, I'm still not doing it. I'm still not doing it. And then it got to the point where it's like, I can't deal with him being sober. I won't say that he got me back on it, because I chose to do it, but I did it to be able to deal with him. And he was out there. And most people thought I over dramatized those stories, and like I under dramatized them for real. There was a point where like I was trying to get away from him. I snuck out my window, and he chased me, he tackled me. I pissed my pants. I was scared so bad.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up running, and somebody gave me a ride to my mom's house. And if you remember, I haven't talked about my mom since I was down in North Carolina, and she signed charges over against me. Well, she moved back up here after she retired, and I didn't have a relationship with her, but I knew where she lived, and I had somebody take me to her house. She let me take a shower, change my clothes, and then she took me right back to that house. She's like, you made those choices, you stay with it. Like, and so, like, so then again, like, I still didn't have my family. Like, so I've anything that I've learned on my own, and usually the hard way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the reality of this guy, like how delusional he was, like he caught my house on fire with me inside of it, so he would be able to save me, and so he could feel like a real man.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, but he is sober now, doing well. So proud of him for that. I don't hold any resentments for him, because we both were in active youth. Like he's a great writer. If he ever published a book, I would definitely buy it. I'd probably be his number one supporter, but that was a toxic relationship in its own. And then I ended up getting pregnant again, by another guy again. And I had the baby. He was 9 weeks old. He was born August 16th, 2015, passed away on October 15th, 2015. He was actually murdered by his father. This is hard for me to talk about, but I'm going to, because me and my sponsors worked through this quite a bit. So it's easier to talk about now than it has been for the last 10 years. That's for sure. That little boy, I felt like I was at the perfect age to have a kid at that point. I was 30, and like, I felt like I could be present for him, because I was clean at that point. I felt like I could be present. I could be, and I just adored it. And like, he was so smart, he started rolling over. He was only 9 weeks old when he passed, but like, and he was just amazing. He was my first boy. He was the only one of my kids that ever broke my water, and he came at 31 weeks. So that was a miracle in its own. He ended up staying in the hospital for like 10 days before he came home, because he was so early. But he was so perfect. Me and his dad ended up splitting up, because there's a look in a man's eyes when he's about to rage out on you and hit you, and you can see that.
You know it's coming. Yep.
Yeah, you can see it coming. I learned that from the guy I was with for 10 years. And after that, I refuse. No man's ever going to put their hands on me again, especially without me giving a fight back. I'm just a little thing.
Absolutely.
I will try my damnedest.
Same.
In that,
I'm
and
fightful.
he had that look in his eyes one day, and I'm just, I look at him and I just start laughing, which pissed him off even more. He flips my couch over, and I'm like, dude, you're going to have to pick that up. Like, come on. And so we ended up splitting up after that. And he went and stayed at his dad's house down the road from us. And then I was cleaning the house, and I had a dustpan. I'll never forget this. I went to sweep up the desk or the dirt into the dustpan, and I couldn't get back up. Like, my back locked up, and I could not. Like, I was stuck, bent over. I ended up having to call the emergency squad. I ended up getting admitted into the hospital overnight. At this point, even though he raged out on me, it's still his kid, and he never shown any ill intentions towards our kid. And he was staying with his dad too. So I asked them to take the baby for the night since I was going to be in the hospital. Wish I would have never. But anyways, then I come back from the hospital, and I go in there, and the baby's just laying there and not breathing or anything. He's still warm though, but like I immediately called 911, and I'm sitting there, and then the neighbor came over, who's also like a trained EMS, whatever, and was trying to help me. Like, I'm freaking out. And, I had to go talk to CPS and all that stuff. And I had to do a drug test to prove that I wasn't on drugs, even though I just got out of the hospital, like, show that I was at no fault for anything. I thought he had done the same. Like I said, we weren't living together. I didn't know. And at this point, I am like completely losing my mind again, because this is the second child I've lost. Completely losing my mind again. Like, I didn't even want to talk to him at that point, but I'm assuming he had to go through the same processes that I did. And he was still out and about for a long time that I know of. And then 2 years later, I'm still living in the same place. I get a knock at my door, and it's the sheriff's office. Well, my oldest daughter's not home, so I know it's no complaint from the neighbor for them calling the cops on us or something. I answer the door, and they're there to serve my son's dad with a warrant for reckless homicide and child endangerment. When I had talked to the coroner a year and a half previous to this, the way he had explained it to me, it sounded very similar to the passing of my daughter, which was SIDS. And even though they explained that it's very uncommon for two children to be, pass away from SIDS in the same bloodline, that's the way I had understood it at that point. And maybe that's the only way my mind could cope with it at that point. I'm not sure.
Absolutely.
But then when they came at me and they're like, no, like, and then the cops explained to me in further detail that my little boy had drugs in his system, heroin. And so I don't know how that happened. Then they also said that his there was so much weight on his chest that his lungs exploded. So it's horrible. And that man only got 18 months in prison for that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Touch me, Jesus.
And it's taken me 10 years to even really be able to talk about it. A lot of my friends that I have, I don't have a lot of close friends. I've got a lot of close friends here lately. Since I've been in recovery, I'm starting to learn to trust people more. But like, I have one friend that I've been friends with for probably 15 years now, and he didn't even know I had a son until here recently, when I asked him to go to the graveyard with me, so I could do like I put bricks around it and some gravel or whatever, because we just finally got a headstone for him. He's been gone since 2015. And so we just finally, I just didn't want it to be real, even though I knew it was. I didn't want it to be real, but he's got a headstone now out there. And that's since I've been in recovery. My life has changed a lot since then. So after that happened, I ended up moving up here to Athens. I had a job. I worked up here in Athens, another telemarketing place. Go figure. But it's what I was good at. So, and then I ended up moving up in the company, being office administrator and office manager. I worked for HR, a lot of corporate stuff. I got paid really good and for the work that I did, and I taught myself a lot of it. I saw what the need was, and I was good with that. That's it's what I wanted. It's what I went to college for. It's what I wanted to do. So it was a perfect fit for me. But again, still, I wasn't happy. I was alone. I was depressed. My kids weren't, in my life. They just still held the resentments towards me. Um, so eventually, I started doing meth again, but I wasn't
Yeah.
going to cook because that's what I went to prison for. I'm not going to cook it, so I'll just
Just
deal it.
do
That's
it.
so much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thought process in that one, I don't even know. But
It's
then
in time.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Yeah. It always does at the time.
Yeah.
Always.
yeah, yeah. But at that point, I was more addicted to the money and the selling and the feeling of being needed. Um,
Ooh.
that's what I was more addicted to at that point. Because like I said, I always chase after love and attention, and now I have a product that people want and they need me for it. And I'll consistently show up for you because you call me, you need me, you want me around.
Yep.
They probably really didn't like me, but
Yeah.
they tolerated me because
You had something they needed. So yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So that became like my new love and my new addiction because it was filling that void that I had. So then I started I wouldn't say relationship, it was a friendship um, with this guy. We lived together for many years. We were never together. Um, he done a lot of dirty things to me, but honestly, it was probably to help me in the longer run because I was so naive still at this point. I still wanted to trust everybody, So I thought everybody was good, even though I've been to prison. I've done, lost two kids. I've lost my kids that were still living. I lost them out of my life, but yeah, I still wanted to think people were good. Um, so and I still care about this man deeply in my life. And he's sober now too. So super proud of him for that. But like he and everybody's like, why would you? Because like he robbed me a couple of times and stole my vehicle, but then he always came back around, and it was more of a lesson in life, really, because like he never really like ultimately hurt me because I always bounced back from it because he never like took it all, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he was just always there. Like if something bad happened, even if we were mad at each other, didn't talk to each other for a while, if something bad happened, he was right there, and I was there for him too. Um, and I'd like to think the same thing still today. I don't talk to him on a regular because he doesn't live around here anymore. But I mean, he's still one of my really good friends at heart. I'll always have a piece of my heart for him. Um, so he ended up going to rehab probably about 5 years ago. And he's still sober. He's doing great.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
um,
Shout out to the friend.
yes, definitely. And his sister also lived with us off and on. We done a lot of shit together. She's in recovery now too. And I can say she's one of my really dear friends today. With all the past that we've had, it's a miracle that we can be friends today and go on this journey together.
Yeah.
She's truly an amazing person. So that happened for a while, and I just bounced back and forth, and then I went back to my friend's house that I'd been friends with for about 15 years. That's a place I call home because me and him were never together. He loves me dearly, and I would love to give him a chance. He'd see me at my good, bad, ugly, worst, best, all of it. And, and I love him dearly to the point that I know that I would fuck him up somehow. And I don't want to do that to him. And I want to continue to have him in my life for the next 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
He's definitely been a rock for me. We've been through addiction together. We've been through loss together, his divorce together, losing family members together, and no matter where we are in our life or who we're with, we're there for each other. And that's rare to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I ended up moving back out to his house for a little while. I'll always call that place home because I know if anything, I can always go there. It doesn't matter. Um, I ended up going there for a while, and where I met the last guy that I was with, and I was with him for about 5 years, this last guy, and we were really, really heavy on drugs, meth mostly, and it took about 3 years into the relationship before I realized he didn't even like my personality at all. Like, that's horrible. He really did not. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't like my sense of humor. My sense of humor is like one of my main characteristics. Um, it's one of my biggest coping skills now that I'm sober. Is my sense of humor. I'll make jokes about something to help, ease the awkwardness of something, or, to help me, process something. So my sense of humor is a big part of me. He definitely didn't like it at all. And so I continued to be with him for another 2 years after that because of drugs and alcohol and all of that
Yeah.
stuff, and still wanting
Yeah.
that need for love and attention and all of that. And he was also giving me and one of the biggest reasons I stayed is because I've been in worse. That's no
Oh,
reason to stay.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, like
At least he's
like
not beating my ass every day or raping me while I'm sleeping.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, like he didn't give me the attention or love or
Yeah.
affection that I needed, but he gave me a place to live.
Yeah.
He came home every night. Mostly, sometimes he didn't, but mostly he came home every night. He provided for me, made sure that I had food, cigarettes, my basic needs.
Yeah.
And honestly, it kind of reminded me of my childhood a lot. The way my mom did. Like, she
Oh,
was
yeah.
never loving, or affectionate, but she provided my basic needs. So
Yep.
I kind of reverted back to my childhood almost at that point. Um, and and that's why I didn't leave for another 2 years after that. And then it got to a point. He went to rehab twice, and then he ended up going to jail for 6 months. Um, and then the deciding factor of us splitting up was when he got out of jail. He got out of jail 3 days early, but he never even came home for those 3 days. He was out running around, getting high, doing whatever he wanted to do. And it's not so much me that I was mad about. His kids were like, there was 3 houses on the property. His kids lived on that property, same property I lived on. He didn't come home to those kids who had been missing him and waiting for him to be there. That's what hurt me the most. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And so I went and stayed at a friend's house that was just down the road because I started working again. I hadn't worked in like 4 or 5 years at this point. I was working at a gas station, and it was a decent job. But then my car broke down, so then I was stuck with a bicycle or walking to get to work, and it was like a 3.8 miles one way to get to work. So yeah,
Damn, you were fucking pedaling. Yeah.
it wasn't easy. It wasn't
You have some
easy.
calf muscles, do you?
Right. But I still tried to make sure I went to work. The one reason I didn't get a job so much when me and him was together was because I was like, I'm not going to get a job to have all my paycheck go to drugs. I'm not going to do it. And I didn't want to go back to dealing drugs either. Because that was one of the big benefits of, selling drugs, is I really didn't have to pay for drugs.
Yeah.
Because I would sell enough that it didn't matter. It's like I was getting mine for free. So I didn't want to have to spend my whole paycheck on drugs, and I knew that's what was going to happen. Well, I'm back to work, and I'm staying down at the road at my friend's house. He has no electric, no running water. The place is a mess. I mean, it was tweaker heaven for sure. A bunch of little projects going here, there, everywhere, nothing getting finished.
You see how that shit
All
works.
these
Yeah.
great aspirations for everything, but nothing ever got done.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But he was a blessing to me, because at least I had a place to go to when I left work. Or it may not have been perfect, but I was still so much into. I needed the drugs at that point, because my life was depressing. I didn't talk to my kids on a regular yet. Still, I talked to them every once in a while. Something major was going on. Like when my daughter got married, she called me. I went to her wedding with to see her wedding. Then they ended up adopting a baby, and I got to be there for that. But I still wasn't fully present for those situations because if I couldn't have found drugs that morning, I probably wouldn't have went.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it. Because when I first started back on it, it was a weekend thing, just have a little fun. And that's all great because those are the fun times when it's just, every once in a while on the weekends. But then it got to the point where I got to do a little bit because I overdid it on the weekends. I got to do a little bit Monday so I can get to work. So I'm not, dragging out to work.
Yeah.
And then, then it got to the point where I was doing it every day before work. And then, then I had to do it when I got home from work because I was so tired from work. And then I started doing it at work. Then my whole paycheck was going to that. And I'm wondering why I can't get my car fixed, why I'm living in a place with no running water, no electric, and I have no money. And I can't figure out why. And so I'm like so depressed, still really lonely. It's like horrible. I had my dog. My dog was awesome. She's my therapist. Like, poor thing. Like, she was my rock, though. Like, if I didn't have her, I probably would have probably offed myself a long time ago. But at this point, I'm spending all my money. I'm living, in the middle of nowhere. It's starting to become almost winter time, or I know winter's coming up because this is in about July, where I'm at my wit's end. Like, I'm not getting along with the person I'm staying with because they're trying to control what I'm doing or whatever. We're not even together. But then I have no say of anything that goes on around the house either, even though it's twack heaven. Like, I have no say of anything around there. And I'm to the point where I'm like on my knees crying every night to God, please take my life. I don't want this anymore. Like, I don't. And I was too chicken shit to do it myself.
Yeah.
Because back a long time ago, I skipped this part of my story. When I was with the guy for about 10 years, I remember my mom saying at some point when I was younger that being in the city, there's more crime or whatever. And we lived on the outskirts of the city down in North Carolina. So, that was her excuse for signing custody over to my dad up here in Ohio was, it's a safer place. It's the country. Nothing bad happens there. Oh, my God. Obviously, it never lived here before. When I was with that guy for 10 years and we were cooking dope and stuff, I actually witnessed my first murder in my own home. It was bad. Like, the guy, he was there buying stuff off of us, and his wife was cheating on him with another guy. We didn't know who the guy was. Well, that guy ended up showing up to buy stuff off of us too. And then he told him to walk outside, wanted to talk about something. Dude didn't even make it across the threshold. And then he done just a pivot turn, then 4 steps back in our house. He's like, he killed me. And he had stabbed him with a gutting knife and it punctured his lung. And we kept him alive for 43 minutes. And the ambulance shows up with no lights on, no nothing. And then it was 12 hours before they actually got the body out of the house. There's blood stains all over the floor. And the cops were so rude because I had only ever seen murders in movies and stuff. They always had people come in and clean it up, and I'm like, how do we go about this? And they're like, have fun cleaning up the mess, like assholes. But so that was, they were assholes about it, but that's Meigs County for you.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anything good about him for real.
Right, for sure. Yeah. So at that point, that had in my warped mind, when I was actually contemplating suicide, wanting it in my life, I had, and whenever I did my assessments and whatever, to get sober, I completely lied about this part. Because they're like, have you ever actually, thought out the process of doing it? I'm like, no, I just thought about doing it because I didn't want to put me in a psych hospital or something. But I had actually thought about it to the point where I would go into a bathroom, I would run some water, I would do it in the bathtub. That way it wouldn't stain anything. It would be an easy cleanup. I had it planned out to but then I would be sitting there with a knife in my hand and I couldn't do it. And, and the only thing I can think of is, God was doing for me what I couldn't see for myself. He had better plans for me. You know what I mean? because I'm sitting there begging and please take my life. I can't do it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I'm done with it. I fucked it all up. There's no repairing it. That's the point I was at.
Yeah.
There's no repair to my
Nobody's
leg.
gonna miss me anyway. Like,
Exactly.
what
And
the
that,
fuck? Like, just
yes,
take
and
me.
that,
Like,
yes,
yes.
that was like one of the saddest things, like I actually thought too, because like where the people I was staying at, like they were so twacked out anyway, like they probably didn't realize when I was there or I wasn't. So it's like, if
Yeah.
I do it, like how long is it going to be before somebody actually finds me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they even
I'm
gonna
like,
call the ambulance, or are they just gonna
yeah,
leave me
Dump me somewhere.
or
yeah,
dump me in the
exactly.
woods? Or that's the type of shit that happens, right?
It
And
is,
that's the reality that we
yeah,
live in when we're on drugs.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I was just at my offing point, and I had talked to the person I was living with. I'm like, listen, I want to go to sober living. I don't want to go back to rehab. At this point, I didn't even know there was a sober living in Athens. I just had a dream about it, what I wanted it to be like, a nice house with electric and running water, obviously.
Yeah. And a
You
bed.
know, a bed, absolutely a bed. And other people with the same goals in
Mindset.
mind,
Yeah.
just helping each other out, and, a positive environment, and, getting back on my feet, getting a job, the things I need to do, and while being accountable and staying sober. This was all a dream in my head. Never did I think it would ever be a reality. Thank God there was, I think, like 8 women 10 years ago who had the same dream, who made it become a reality. And that's where I stay at now, is in a sober living house, exactly how I envisioned it, which is awesome.
Aw.
Yeah. But during this time, I'm on probation or parole at this point, because I had caught more felony charges in Athens County for drugs and other things. And luckily, the judge didn't send me to prison. He put me on paper for 5 years. God bless him. But and you think that'd be easy for a drug addict? Yeah, I can hide. I can probably hide for 5 years. And I was doing a good job at that point. Which I'm almost off of it. I think this is my last year. But I've been doing a good job of hiding. And then my parole officer got changed. And, and the new one was a little bit more strict, because she was newer to the office, I guess. So she wanted to do more house visits, and she wanted me to call in more and come to the office more. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And so then I
Welcome
learned how to,
back, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want my old one back. Like I text my one, I'm like, why'd you break up with me?
Yeah.
Oh, so then I got, fluent in how to passing my drug test, which, which helped to a point until I couldn't do it anymore. Because like she knew I wasn't doing well, but she couldn't prove that I wasn't doing well.
Right.
Because I was leaving her in that situation. Like she knows it, but she can't prove it. So what can she do about it?
Yeah.
So then finally, she does a house visit to my ex's house that I had left, and he tells her where I'm at, and she comes there, and she's like looking around, and she's like, "Is this what you really want?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. No, I don't. But I don't know what else to do. I need help. Like I don't know what to do." She's like, "Come to my office tomorrow." She's like, "I'll make some calls today when I get back." She's like, "I'll let you know whatever I find out and whatnot." And she's like a really, really awesome person. You can tell she cares about her job, 100%. She's been a godsend for me. If I called her tonight at 3:00 in the morning, she would answer her phone. So that's way outside her job hours, but I know she would answer her phone if I called her at 3 a.m. And so when I got down there, she wasn't sure how fast she could get me into the sober living here in Athens. And she was actually gonna get me a hotel room right next to the APA office, just to get me out of the situation I was in, because she knew I was at my point. Like I can't do this anymore. I'm about to end my life. Like there's no point. And so like she really helped, and she got me in here to where I stay now. And it's completely amazing here. Like I said, I've been sober since August 1st, 2025. And everything has been a blessing since then. I'm not just dry, just clean. I'm actually working a program in recovery, doing 12 steps. I go to meetings. Athens has a wonderful recovery community, 100%. I tried it a couple of years ago, just going to meetings or whatever, because one of the scariest things about trying to stop doing drugs is you don't know anybody else who doesn't do drugs.
Yeah.
Those are all your friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, why am I going to be not doing drugs, but everybody around me is? I don't know anybody else. So where do I go from there? So I tried going to a couple meetings, and there was one guy in particular who was in the meetings, like when I went back home, because I lived in Coolville for a little bit, and there is absolutely no recovery there. And he tried to get me rides to meetings or whatever, and I ended up relapsing before I came back here in August. And he was still in the rooms when I came back. They welcomed me back, like glad you're here. No ill feelings for me, no judgment. And that's one of the great things about recovery is it's honest and there's no judgment. Like, we've all made mistakes. Yeah. And probably one of the hardest things for me to have to admit was that I was an addict or an alcoholic. That's probably one of the hardest things that I had to do, because I'm like, I haven't done this. I'm not as bad as this person. Yeah, I am. Like, in my own way, like, I can listen to other people's stories and I'm like, me too. I did that too. Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh my God. And it's just, and they have no judgment, like, but then they're there to help you. Like, this is what I did. You can try this, see if it works for you.
Yeah. And it may not, but it's the suggestion is there, and they've done planted that seed for you. Yeah. It just makes you want to keep trying. You're like, well, if it's working for them, then I got to find something that might work for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and they say in the program, find somebody who has what you want, and, see how they got it. And so I found someone like that. She's my sponsor. I love her to death. She's amazing.
Shout out to Stephanie.
Yes, Stephanie. I knew Stephanie from my past. We had never used together or anything like that. Our paths had just crossed multiple times. She actually works for me at one of the companies that I was the office administrator for, and I wouldn't give her job back because I knew she was getting high. Even though I was getting high, I couldn't give her job back, which is probably a good thing, because it probably sent her back down the wrong path too.
Together. Yeah.
Right. But it was a great thing that we never did, because she has been a complete inspiration in my life today. She's doing amazing, and she just continues to grow, and she has complete faith in me, and shows me how to love myself and how to forgive myself and how to let go of things that I've held on to for 10 years. I had to write a men's letter to the guy who killed my son, because I've held on to that resentment for 10 years. And it was keeping me alive. It made me such an angry person. Like, I hated everybody and everything. And whatever emotion I was feeling, it came out as anger and hateful, no matter what. Even if somebody didn't deserve it, that's what they got from me. And yeah, and I mean, I was completely bad, to the point where it's like, I would be mad that you're not showing me attention because you're fixing my car or something, but I want attention. Like, I want you to pay attention to me. And now I'm upset. So now you've caused a problem. So now you have to fix it. And then I would be so angry, and I would not let their day continue any possible way until they fix me. It's no way to be towards anybody. I don't know why people even continue to stand to be around me, other than the fact that I usually had drugs. So, asking my PO for help, that's probably the last person on earth I probably would have ever thought that I would have asked for help. Because literally, I was ready to give up my life anyway. So, like, I was laying in her hands, like, hey, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. I'm not, you can put me in jail, like, but, do something with me. Luckily, she cares about her job, and she cares about me, and, and she got me into this wonderful place in Athens. And it's just been amazing ever since I've been here. It's a very structured environment, and that's absolutely what I needed, was structure. I need that stability in my life now. I chased after love, drugs, money, everything until I was ready to fucking die. And now I chase the stability, because that's what I need in my life. If I'm going to be present for anybody, I need the stability, not just my home, but my finances, my emotions, just my everyday life. Um, my life was always chaotic and busy before. My life is busy now, but it's a scheduled busy. And I like that
Mm.
because I know what to
It's
expect.
scheduled chaotic.
Yes, yes. And and today I'm okay with change. One of my biggest things when I first came into recovery, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and
Given,
that's exactly
given.
what I did. I did a complete 180 overall on myself. When I came here on a Monday, and there was no males allowed up on the property, so a female had to drop me off. At that point, I didn't know any females except for my daughter. And I told her what I was doing because like she worries about me. She doesn't hear from me for a while. Like she will track me down to see if I'm in jail or if I'm in the hospital or if I'm even still alive. And
Yeah.
that's sad that my kid has to do that. You know what I mean? But she will. So I ended up asking her if I could come spend the night at her house that night, and have her or her wife come and bring me up here to drop me off to
Yeah.
start my recovery journey. And they absolutely did. I spent the night there. It was great. They brought me here. I actually came early, and it's weird because like many people, I have a fear of the unknown.
Oh yeah.
I've never been to sober living before. I don't know anybody who's been to sober living. I don't know what to expect. I don't know anybody there. I don't know anything except the fact
Yeah.
that I'm supposed to show up here at 9:30 in the morning and meet somebody that I've met one time. That's all I know at this point. But when I got here, I actually got here early. It was like probably 8:45. Um, and I was at peace. Like I wasn't anxious, I wasn't nervous. I'm just like, hey, I'm here. Like, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
And then I was so ready. Um,
Yeah.
and it's been a blessing. Like, and since I've worked the steps in my recovery program, like I don't have the obsession anymore to want to use or want to drink. I don't think about it. I know some people who still do it, and they're like, "Hey, I miss you. You're doing good. Can we hang out?" I'm like, "Hey, this is where I'm going to be at this meeting, this meeting, this meeting. You want to hang out? That's my social life. Like, you can come here." And none of us
Yeah.
ever showed up, but it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But my daughter, like I said, she saved my life more than once. And many times when her birthday's the day after Christmas, um, and when I had money, when I was dealing drugs, I'd give her money, a couple $100, because I could. And then it got to a point where I wasn't working and I wasn't selling drugs. So then I started writing her like these big heartfelt messages for her birthday. Um, and it became a thing for the last couple of years. And I don't know if she truly understands what she means to me today. She has turned out, I'm going to cry over this. She has turned out to be an exceptional woman, an exceptional wife, an exceptional mother. She owns her own home. She takes care of her kids.
Oh,
And before, when she was younger, she wasn't 21 yet. She used to drink and she used to smoke. And as soon as she found out, like they adopted their baby, but they knew when the woman was pregnant, they knew that they were adopting that baby. So they went to all the doctors. She stopped drinking, she stopped smoking, so she could go through her lawyer and go through the adoption process. Have somebody come in and inspect their home and do all the things appropriately. That to me, that's amazing, and I'm so proud of her for that she could do that. And I'm also grateful that she understands that I couldn't do that back then. As much as I probably wanted to, I couldn't. Like,
yeah.
and for her to do that, like, she is my inspiration. I strive to be more like her every day. She is an
Oh,
all around kind, wonderful, loving person. And I don't know how she got so good for having such a fucked up mom, but like I said, she's my superhero. I just went and seen her and her baby today. Her baby just turned a year old in January. Like I said,
oh,
she's a wonderful mom.
happy birthday in January.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Oh,
Like she's my number one supporter. I may not talk to her every day, but I do talk to her a lot more than I used to. I see her a lot more than I used to. Um, since I've been in recovery, like I said, I got a job. I work Taco John's on Richland Avenue. Tomorrow is Taco Tuesday in case anybody wants to come in and get $1.39.
Yeah.
Damien, my son
Um,
Damien, he always every time I see him on Tuesdays, he's like, "You know what today is? Taco Tuesday."
yes, yes, and I love that place. Like my boss Matt, he's been an extremely awesome guy. Like he knows my story. Like he knows I'm in recovery. So and the whole work atmosphere there is exceptional. It's not like any other fast food place I've ever worked at. They're very caring, and people show up when they're supposed to, and it's just a great place to work. I recently got promoted to be a supervisor there.
Yay!
So that's awesome. Like they tell you to wait around until the miracle happens, and the miracle happens every day. It's definitely gifts of the program for sure. None of this would have happened if I wouldn't have been sober working a program. I probably would have still been an angry person. When things didn't go my way, I would have probably left. I would have done something, went out or, went to the liquor store or because that's just me. That's my addict behavior. That's, my alcoholic behavior. That's what I do when things don't go my way. But today things don't have to go my way. I can learn how to adapt to it. Because I used to be a person who's done A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because I wanted to, account for all the worst things. And then if something didn't go on one of those plans, it was a failure. Like, it's done, not happening, it's over.
Yeah.
And today I don't have to be like that. I get to go out of town with friends, go to conferences. Me and my sponsor done a drop the rock exercise where we carried this stupid rock around for 2 weeks that we wrote down stuff that we wanted to let go of. And after, it's cute to start with. And then that rock becomes a little heavy, like all your resentments become really heavy. But then we took a hammer and we smashed those after about 2 weeks, and we threw them in the lake. And it's very freeing and relaxing.
Yeah.
But working the steps has definitely made me a completely different person. I know how to deal with situations that arise. Recently, my biological dad passed away from a freak accident at work. He's a truck driver, and he was unloading a transmission off of the back of a semi, and it shifted and it fell back on him. He hit his head off of the concrete. Which caused him to have a stroke, and his brain, he was bleeding out of his brain. They kept him on life support for like 10 days before they finally let him go. So, and normally I would have tried to, get sympathy for that, like, feel sorry for me, please feel sorry for me, buy me some drugs, do something to make me feel better. But honestly, he was never really a big part of my life. He's part of my story for sure. And the blessing of this program is, and I got to write an amends letter to him before they took him off of life support because of the relationship that was strained between us. I admitted my part in it, and I released him from like any misconception that I have of the father that he should have been to me, because you can only do what you know. And and he done what he knew best. You know what I mean? Was it perfect? No. We're all human though, and I have to understand that. But I also played a part in it too. So, but I did write my amends letter. So, that was freeing to me. I didn't let that go. I didn't have to wait until it was too late. It sucked to head to that point, but, and I didn't have to drink over it. I didn't have to use over it. I had amazing support, something I thought I would never say I'd ever have in a million years. I hated going to rehab. I've been to about three rehabs. I hated doing those stupid relapse prevention plans, because like who really uses those anyway? But they're good to have. But I know always on my who would you call part of it, I'd always put my oldest daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd always put my oldest daughter on there. Yeah, but 75% of the times I probably would have never called her. You know what I mean? But she's the only person I had to put down. Today I could probably fill up a whole page of people that I can call today, and then I do call. I try to keep a constant communication with people, and and it's the little things in life. It's not the things that I have to do; it's the things I get to do. I get to get up. I get to wake up in a bed for one. I get to socialize and live with other recovering girls in Athens. I get to go to work. And because of my job, I lived here for 3 months, and I went to a car dealership, and I've got a 2018 Subaru Legacy. It's amazing. It's probably the nicest vehicle I've probably ever had in my life. But I worked for it. Like
Good. And you
and
get to wake up and be you.
yes, and that is the most wonderful thing. I get to love
Yes.
myself. I get to
Yes.
know me.
Yes.
Yeah. Today I
Not
don't
what something else is telling you to be. You get to wake up and be the
exactly.
person you want to be.
Yes, like
You know what I
I
love
changed
most for
myself
you?
so much for so many people. Like just to have them try to like me. Like I would, learn how to
Yeah.
work on cars or go fishing or go, hiking or ride motorcycles or all these things that I mean I do enjoy some of those things, but like I would like overindulge myself in these things just to be able to spend time with them so that they would like me
Yeah.
or that they
Yeah.
would need me or see me as something, something important in their life.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know me, to be honest. And I'm
Yeah.
getting to learn who I am now, what I like, what I don't like, what I'll put up with, what I won't put up with. And I, it's so freeing. It really is. Um, because I wake up with a smile every morning. I'm a very grateful person today because I just have so much to be thankful for. And I couldn't have done it without, being
Your
sober
program.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And your
Um,
program.
and I, yeah, working my program for sure.
Yeah.
I don't go out chasing after love, attention, or drugs anymore. I'm not looking for a relationship. Um, Part of the step work was, putting down like what you would want out of, a healthy relationship. And, but the most important part of that is what am I bringing to the table? Like, I can't
Yeah.
expect, A, B, C, D, E, F, G if I don't even have an A. So, so I've been working on myself and trying to get that stability. And today I have different emotions other than anger. Um, Honestly, I couldn't tell you the last time I probably even got angry, except for when I was
Yeah.
using drugs. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I can cope better with it now. Like I know there's other emotions, and like to work through it. And
Yeah.
like, okay, what is this person going through, or what did I do? Did I what part did I play? Um, and if I'm wrong, and I'm quick to admit it. Like I won't let it go. So to build somebody else's resentment towards me, like I'll admit my faults today. Before I'd be like, if something happened, I'd be like, oh wow, who did that? Who
I
would
did
do
that.
that? Like I'll
You
help
did
you
that.
look for whoever did that. And it was me the whole time, you know.
Yeah. So
But now today, like I'm quick to admit, I'm like, oh, I did that. Like I didn't know. You
yeah.
better show me the right way to do it. Like my bad, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. And if we don't know, we don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
So what
yeah.
was Matt had a question for you.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, he had something to say. Sorry. What was it?
I was just gonna tell her like the most amazing part about all of this
Mhm.
is this just the beginning.
Ooh.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
the
Yes.
power of your story and the light that you share, like you have no idea how many people you are going to impact and inspire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like just in 9 months, you've accomplished this. Stay
Yes.
consistent and keep doing what you're doing, and it's endless what you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Like I'm not slowing down at all. They talk about being on a pink cloud, and I hope I never get off that pink cloud because like I said, I smile and I try to inspire other people to smile and life's not that bad. Like I had problems before, but they were problems that I created. Today I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
issues. I have issues that I can
Oh,
correct.
I like
So
that. Well,
yeah,
your story was amazing. You did amazing.
thank you.
I can relate to you in so many ways. I lost a child also. Um,
Hmm.
but and I also let that lead me to darkness. But today is something that I draw strength from and
Yeah.
is, I use as a strength every day to keep me going. You know what I mean? Like I want him to be proud of me. Like,
Yes.
and my mom to be proud of me. So like I draw strength from it instead of use it as an excuse to go back out. And I'm
Exactly.
super, super proud of you and how far you've come. 9
Thank-
months, girl, that's 9 months. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
No. Yes.
Rock it out and continue to rock it out. And the best advice I could probably give you is be like, keep learning. Don't stop learning. Knowledge is freaking power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A little kipology for that ass people. He used to tell us all the time, believers are receivers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So soak that in, soak every bit of that in. And
Yes.
you are definitely one of those, stories that recovery is possible. We all are,
Yes.
don't get me wrong, but like, girl, you survived all that and you're still sitting here to talk about it.
Yes. Absolutely. It's God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself.
Yep,
That's
there
for
you
sure.
go.
Like
You
when
guys heard
I
it.
had those prayers before, like, please take my life. I don't want it anymore. That's exactly what he did. He didn't end my life. He ended my life of addiction, and he showed me the right path. And I'm forever grateful for that.
And
Yeah.
all your support on here is like, oh, we're so
Showing
proud
up
of
and showing
you.
out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So proud of
Yes.
you. You know what I mean? And like
Yes.
your daughter was even on here.
Yep.
Big shout out. So, you did amazing. I'm super proud of
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for trusting us to share your
Yes.
story with.
You gain 2 more. You know what I'm saying? If you ever need anything,
We're
reach
here.
out to
Just
us.
reach out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And girl, I'm a talker
Absolutely.
too. And I love to smile. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Me and my husband might have a little bit of, elbow knocking sometimes, but like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he said, yeah. But I'm a talker and I love to smile too. So,
Yes.
No, but that was real shit. Like when me and her first got together, right? Like
Mhm.
I was peer supporter and he was talking to me about what a healthy relationship is. And
Ryan Rogers.
I was like, bro, I don't even know how to have a healthy relationship with myself. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't know how to love somebody else.
Yeah.
I did a
Exactly.
fucking research on it, and I still fall short in a lot of areas. But
Yeah. We all do. We're never going to
Right.
perfect anything, guys. All we can do is continue to learn to be better than we were yesterday and continue
Mhm.
to move forward on a sober
Absolutely.
direction.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Reach out for support. Do like she's doing. Continue to work on yourself. And it works if you work it. I know that sounds
Absolutely.
cliche, but it works if you work it.
100.
Don't
Yes.
fake it till you make it. It works if you work it.
Yes. For sure.
And Ashley is living proof of that, you guys. Give her a
Yes.
big, applause, show her some more love. And
yeah, okay.
one question though, like before we go, what would you say to someone who feels like they've lost everything and that it's too late for them to even start over?
It's never too late. I'm 42 years old.
Woo!
My kids are grown and they have kids of their own. It's never too late to start over. Like
Yeah.
I said, my kids, I may not have been, and I asked my daughter one day, like, was I really a shitty mom? And she said, Mom, you were there when we needed you, and that's what's important. And, she could have let me have it and, tore me down and, whatever, but she
Yeah.
didn't. So it's never too late. Just ask for help. I'm a person who never asks for anything. I figure it out myself. But when you need it, you need it. Just ask for help. Somebody's always there. Nobody will judge you. And it's a beautiful life. Like, it's
Yeah.
more beautiful than you can even imagine. Like, each day just gets better.
And you heard it straight from the horse's mouth, Ashley's mouth.
I can't wait to see what she accomplishes, man.
Yeah. Listen, we keep saying it. One day we're going to come up here to the Athens family, guys. Listen, we
Yes.
got March United coming up. Y'all are going to have to get some Coda buses and come on.
Go to the-
Come on down. Come on.
Yes.
Listen, I was just talking about this, but
yeah.
I have my March United event coming up in September, and all of you
Mhm.
guys are invited. Free
Absolutely.
t-shirt and free mail. Free t-shirt and free mail.
Yay.
Who doesn't like free stuff? I do.
I love free stuff.
Me too, girl. Me too. Yeah, show her some love, guys. Don't forget. We're gonna upload her episode to our YouTube podcast channel. And
And you fucking nailed it.
what?
You're like
Thank
every time
you.
we have a cancellation and someone steps in, they just fucking knock it out.
Knock it out. You did.
Girl,
You
you didn't
nailed
get
it.
the point.
Woo, woo,
Killed
woo.
that
Thank
shit.
you.
Thank you. Your story was powerful, and we really, really appreciate you. Don't
Thank
forget
you.
YouTube channel. Go like and follow our page if you guys don't already. And we will make a shirt and I'll message you. And
Okay.
and Wednesday, guys, we have Mr. Corey Collins coming on from Portsmouth.
It's gonna be a good
Gonna be a good
one. Yeah.
Gonna be a good, another great story, guys. Join us. We'd like to, see everybody continue just to join.
Yes.
I mean, come on, come hear us talk. Hear someone talk. Hear us talk. No, I'm just kidding. Come join us Wednesday, guys, with Corey, and go like and follow our page. And thank you, Ashley, once again.
Yeah.
You rocked
Thank
it
you.
out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, guys. I hope everybody has a good night. If you guys missed it, YouTube it, guys.
Mhm.
Go like and I know Travis, I'm gonna say your name on here. Travis. This is a good one to watch, Travis. I'm gonna tell you it's a good one to watch. So go watch this one. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Way to go, Steph. Came
Yeah.
through.
Way to go, Steph. My bread making partner.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Calling you out. All right, guys. We'll see you Wednesday.
We just out here baking loaves and miracles, baby.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.